Yeah, let's throw that question to the group. And we got some time for questions. And as those questions are pouring in, just a real quick couple housekeeping things. Just to get your CEUs, please take the survey that pops up at the end. The same survey will be sent to you in an hour after the event, so make sure to take that. For those of you listening to this in the future, not right now, please take that quiz, 80% passing rate, get your CEUs. And get your CEUs on our YouTube channel, just follow the current instructions here, go down beneath the session, click YouTube, then on the left there you'll see click show more, then on the right there you'll see some details on the quiz and a link come up, and you can go ahead and take that while you're there. And then also I want to say a huge thanks again to our top tier sponsors, Panasonic, T-Stud, Mitsubishi. Huge thanks to them for supporting all of our work and giving better products, as well as all of our members, our board of directors, and all of you who are joining us. So I do see some questions coming in here, Matt, and let me just pull this open, and I'm going to read them off here. Well, this is great. This is a great segue into some questions I wanted to ask you too. But could you kind of go back into how wastewater is going to be handled in this development, either currently or maybe the future plans for it?
So yeah, so wastewater, we're actually unfortunately, we're going to be handling conventionally. There was only certain, we have to get this development built within the critical path of existing rules, financing patterns, and everything else. If we can't build the development, there's no point in trying. So that was not something that we could push back against with the wastewater. We did explore some early numbers with biohabitats on sewer mining and things like that, where you could actually capture water from the existing sewers and then reuse that as gray water and such. The cost of that is just prohibitive for a developer. So at this time, it's not something we can do. So we will have conventional toilets. They'll be highly efficient ones, of course. 1.5 gallons, 0.8 gallons actually on the dual flush. There will be some living building challenge homes on site. So we will be demonstrating how water can be harvested from the roof, treated to potable standards scientifically, even though the city would not classify it as potable through the legal standard. Outside the jurisdiction, it would be considered potable water, and scientifically, it's potable anywhere you are on planet Earth and beyond. But that's not the way our code works. It's not based on science. It's based on sometimes very outdated rules. And then so in those living building challenge homes, and we're looking probably to do this in our barn and possibly in the community building. We will have some of the same composting systems that the Bullitt Center has in their project. So those buildings will not be connected to the sewer pipe. However, most of the community will be connected to conventional sewer pipes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then stormwater is a completely different infrastructure, and that we will not have any conventional stormwater infrastructure. Those will all be green infrastructure for that.
Oh, great! Yeah, thanks for following up with that. So I want to continue to follow up on this water on the catchment side, because if I understand right, at least the older versions of living building required, even if you couldn't do it, you still had to play some kind of advocacy role. So my question is that, number one, is that true? And if it is there any strategies to start lobbying the state for these changes, especially in light of the fact that I don't know if you know this, but the International Code Council has released a sort of what I'm going to call a rainwater ready code that Michigan could adopt and make all of our lives easier. Yes. So I guess, yeah, could you just follow up on that a little bit?
Yeah. So it is true that if you are seeking the water pedal, you can still achieve that, and that's why some of our buildings will be able to achieve the Living Building Challenge, as the Burbeck House here in Ann Arbor has, um, uh, where you get an exemption if code does not allow for that system, but you have to go through the entire appeals process and become an advocate for that change. So we are not seeking the water pedal for the Living Community Challenge, again, because we would not even be able to bear the cost or pass on those costs to the consumer, of the kind of system that would be there that we couldn't use. So on an individual basis, we will be able to do that because we believe we will be finding committed homeowners who want to help demonstrate that. We think we can get some grant funding and things like that for some of the community buildings where we will be able to achieve the water pedal on those. And you are correct. The code now is outpacing where a lot of municipalities are. And there's even some municipalities that are considering distributed waste systems as well. So we are very, very much advocating for that as part of this project and educating others.
Great. So let's get into some questions about investment. One of them is, what is the expected or advertised rate of return for investors?
So again, this is all being done through local stakes. So I encourage you to go to veridian@countyfarm.com and you'll find a link to it there. You can also scroll down to the bottom of the page and you can learn quite a bit. There'll be some of the terms on there and a little bit more about it, and links to how you can set up a self-directed IRA if you want to use money from an existing IRA. That said, I'm pausing because I'm limited to what I can say under SEC rules. But since I told you that it's being done through local stake and you have to go to the website, I think I'm safe in saying that the return is a preferred equity, is the kind of investment it is. So there's the preferred return of 8% annually. So it's about a 3-year project. So that's 8% year over year compounded for that, plus a percentage of the profit based on the total investment. So if it were, we're projecting now that the local stakes portion of that will be, let's say it was 13%. You would get a percentage of that 13% that you of that total share. And that would be, so whatever profit that came in after the sale of the lots to repay the development loan. And to clarify also, this investment is not for the construction of the homes. That the construction cost of the homes gets paid for through the conventional mortgage process. This is for the initial construction horizontal development phase of the project. So this is all of the infrastructure. So the green infrastructure, the rain gardens, the bioswales, the roadways, the accessible sidewalks, the lamp posts, the share shed, the barn, all of the infrastructure that is necessary before you begin to build the individual buildings. And then the return comes when, as each home is purchased, a portion of that purchase price goes to repay the land purchase costs and the development costs of the land that I just described. And that said, we're also, it's important to note that we're actually getting the land from Washtenaw County at an extremely discounted rate. Other bidders bid 3 years ago over $3.5 million for the property, even assuming that it's worth more now than it was 3 years ago. And we're paying, our land costs are $1 million. I still believe we should have gotten the land for free, and the county should have demanded some of the things that we are promising to do. That would have given us the ability to do more that a conventional developer would not be able to do. So Yeah. And feel free, if anyone, I think my email was on there. You can, if you, it's matt@thrive-collaborative.com, or you can reach out to me through Twitter or Facebook and direct message me. And I'm happy to arrange a conversation with you if you want to talk more about the investments, and how that works.
Well,
Or if you know others that are interested in becoming primary investors,
yeah.
we're looking at that too. We're obviously.
Well, and if you have a second, I had a couple other quick questions, and they might just be ones where you can't say anything. But do you know, on the investment side, if people can use or shift 401k funds without being taxed to something like this?
Yes.
Oh,
So you can use through a self-directed IRA.
okay.
And there's a link on the site that you can, if you don't already have a self-directed IRA, if you have a self-directed IRA, you can you simply connect that as your investment bank account.
Right.
And then Local Stakes handles all that. So they're a third party fiduciary.
Okay.
We don't see any of your data at all. We have no access to your financial information or anything like that. We
Right.
actually get your email address. They keep all of that. And if you don't already have one, it's easy to. We have a link where you can set it up through Kingdom Trust,
Mhm.
which does a lot of self-directed IRAs to crowdfunding.
Mhm.
Um, and then that, so at the end of the process, and it does take about 20 minutes to go through the entire investment process. So
Mhm.
you think you're done when you're on the platform, but you're not until you go all the way through. And at the very end of that, you connect your bank account to that, and that bank account could be a self-directed IRA account. You would just
Right.
simply connect that to it.
So, thinking obviously not this phase, but maybe the next phase of investment, do you see renewable energy credits, the carbon offsets being part of the sort of the next phase investment?
That's a great question, and I think it's going to be one of these, we're going to need every tool in the toolbox kind of thing. I think they would be helpful. I think carbon taxes are not self-sufficient, but are a necessary part of the entire puzzle. I think renewable energy credits, all of these things are all good tools that we can play with. There is going to be a lot of advocacy needed on the state level, to really rethink the conventional regulatory model for energy distribution and production. The conventional natural monopoly that utility companies have just doesn't really work in with the modern technology that we have. So there's no engineering barriers left really to creating resilient microgrids at any scale, whether it's a village in Africa or Detroit, Michigan. To have multiple microgrids throughout the city that are all interconnected with each other. The software exists, the billing possibilities exist. It's really a matter of restructuring our regulatory system, and then rebuilding the grid from the bottom up.
Um, can you talk briefly about how, I guess, really much more, something like this is going to either cost to be a purchase, to buy and live in a home or to rent a home compared to sort of your standard traditional new build in the area? And, obviously, it would be fair to then, of course, factor in your total cost of home ownership, including water and energy bills.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's something we often neglect to remind people, that the cost of these homes includes your lifetime energy costs. So to give you an idea, and I'm sorry I didn't have those in there, we're really trying to target different levels of home ownership within the conventional development model. Construction costs now are insane. There's a wonderful paper by, I think, the Brookings Institute that just came out this week about why their affordable housing is so difficult. So there will be affordable housing here. That's going to be done by Avalon Housing on a third of the property. some of those people will have recently experienced homelessness. On our portion, what we're trying to do by creating a diversity of housing types, and really pushing against some of the barriers of the appraisers and the realtors and the comps on the market, how do we get to different price points? And I say price points rather than levels of affordability because they're different. I can certainly make a home for $150,000. It's probably going to be one of our, what we're calling a nest unit, which is articulates on the street level as a large home, so 5,000 square feet or so. But inside that home is actually 10 to 14 micro unit apartments, each self-sufficient with their own small kitchens, bedroom, bathroom, washer and dryer, all of those things incorporated into it just in a really, really efficient way. And then in the building, in the home, the larger home, there'll be a separate entrance for everyone to go into their own homes. And then everyone will have access to a common space that has the same kind of luxury amenities that a $750,000 single family home will have right across the street. And again, on the street level, these homes will look very similar to each other, and you won't know that there's people of different income levels living in each one of them. But in this common space, you'll have the same kind of chef's kitchen with a sitting living room area with a flat screen TV, a small co-working space with the little modules that are soundproof, so you can go in and take a phone call while someone may be in there, watching TV or having dinner with their friends or whatever it might be. And so you still have this, and a big wraparound front porch and all of these common elements, and then still being able to be part of that same community. So, and in that way, we can get these prices, under $200,000 for one of these units with all these luxury amenities. You're not going to have a family in a house like that. Then we'll have different levels of what we're calling terraced homes. It's a style of townhouses, and we're looking at what architects call the skinnies. Homes that are as narrow as 14 feet wide. So what we were finding was we had this row of like 1,900 square foot townhomes, because that's what the market is looking for, and that's what realtors want to see, and that's what comps could be. It's sad, but even for us, the design is driven by square footage still. We were told under no uncertain terms that if we tried to sell a $600,000 home that was 1,400 square feet, even if someone was willing to buy it, they would have to come with cash to pay for that house because they couldn't get a loan for it at 1,400 square feet. So we had to add square footage. But when we came to that, we realized that the price point, we were missing some things. So we were able to work with our architect to take the same footprint of that row of buildings and create 5 units, 2 medium size and 3 smaller ones in the same footprint of 3 of the larger units. And so if the market bears only for the larger units, we can shift to that. If people want the 1,200 square foot units, we can build more of those, all without changing the footprints of the neighborhood that we've designed. So it gives us a lot of adaptability and flexibility on that level. And so that's how we're able to get to these different price points based on size and scale. So we've got everything from $150,000 to $750,000 homes on the same site. So we've got a lot of work to do as a society to do better than that, and we need to. And then we're doing things with our construction methods as well. That's going to really bring down labor costs and materials costs and things like that. We'll be talking more about this sometime later this year, but we'll likely be starting a company called Big Block, BYGGBLOK, to do offsite construction. That was why we were in Sweden, actually, was exploring some of the factories there and how they do their construction for much lower cost with no ladders, no toxic materials, the lowest injury rate in the world, high wages, and still at a lower all total cost, with very highly efficient buildings with triple pane windows. So, yeah.
Well, Matt, we're at our time, but I really appreciate you taking a minute out of your day to share this with us. And just real quick before we wrap up, where can people contact you or go to find out more?
Again, easiest place is veridian@countyfarm.com. So it's Veridian with an E, V-E-R. Wait, how do you spell it? Veridian @countyfarm.com. And again, you can find me at Matt Grokoff on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all those places you can contact me, and I encourage you to connect with me there, and stay in touch. And please, we're happy to have one-on-one conversations about investing if you're interested in doing that, and we'll even help walk you through the setup process if you need to, because it's kind of a pain in the ass, frankly, but it's worthwhile.
And come out to stay at an Airbnb there, right? Put that on your bucket list, right?
Yeah. Harbor is actually banning non-owner occupied Airbnbs, though. So
okay,
trying to get them to shift that too, because I think it's a pathway to affordable housing. So if we can have units that are not necessarily occupied, but you can share the benefits of the additional profit that you would make from having an Airbnb by agreeing to leave a certain number of units open at a reduced market rate, so you could get the 60 and 80% of area median income by using some of the extra profit that you're making from from a single Airbnb unit. So 3 units could then be one market rate, one affordable, and one high daily rental through Airbnb. So hoping the city will change their minds on that.
All right. Well, Matt Grokoff, Veridian County Farm, thank you again for your time, and take care, everyone.
Thanks, y'all, and everybody stay in touch.
Yep.
And thanks to you, Brett, as well.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out all of our courses available online that you can watch anytime and anywhere to pick up your CEUs. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube to get weekly updates and stay up to date on green building science courses, webinars, and home tours. Thanks again.